This is my first ever Facebook Live, so let's see how it goes. Bear with me, there may well be a few technical errors, but I'm here in the front of my van as part of my search, my quest, if also, of the next year. For those of you who haven't been following, what I basically decided was about a month ago, I realised after 12 years of teaching kite surfing in Tarifa, I was basically a rubbish kite surfer. I'd spent all my time teaching and very little time actually on the water. So what I decided to do with that, and given the fact that at that time as well, I've spent 12 years being a peak performance coach, coaching loads of clients and becoming much better at what they do, but didn't put into practice the things I was teaching. So my health suffered massively, my performance massively dropped, and because of that, my kite surfing suffered as well. So what I've decided next year, traveling around the world, hopefully, trying to become the best kick-ass kite surfer I can over the course of the next year. And this is the format I'm going to update you guys in. So a live video every once a week, hopefully. Question answers as well. So if you've got any questions as I'm going through this, please drop them in the chat. And again, I'll try and figure out how this works. This is the first time I've done this, so we'll see how it goes. So if I do miss questions, guys, it's not that I'm ignoring you. It's that I'm a bit of a technical biff at times and may just not see them. Okay, so just keep banging them in, or I'll probably see them afterwards and respond to it in chat. Okay, but I'll try and do it as we're going through the call. So I am here, as I say, in the van, looking out over one of the most beautiful lakes in the Alps at the moment. Nice and windy, and I've decided to come to where I spent a bit of time in Portugal over the last few weeks, in some very good conditions. Actually, down in Lagos, flat water, strong winds. And have decided to move to a lake in the French Alps where the wind is light. And this is the reason for the slightly clickbait enigmatic title of this video. Because what I'm trying to do is and I'll explain what I'm trying to do. So this place is light winds, it's flattish water, it's consistent, it's very, very consistent. So every day there's sun, there's wind basically, but the wind comes in generally fairly light. So it might be kind of for a 14-meter kite. And this is where I've decided to kind of kick-start this quest, this search, if you like, to become this peak performance kite surfer. And a lot of people have been asking me, why, out of all the places you could have gone in Europe, have you chosen this light wind spot to come and start at? You could have stayed in Tarifa, where there's great wind every day, it's strong wind, there's a load of different conditions, and that's exactly the reason why. Now, to explain this, I'm going to take a bit of a side view. So there is a tennis club called Spartak Tennis Club, not far from Moscow, where they train some of the greatest women tennis players of our time. They've had this little tiny club has had more women world champions than the entire United States. And they do something really, really interesting. When the girls first come to the academy, they don't let them hit a ball for the first 6 months. They literally just practice drill after drill after drill, trying to get their front hand, their backhand perfect without adding in the complication of a ball. The idea being that as soon as you add a ball in, it adds this variable that you cannot control, and what they actually want to focus on is the fundamentals. Now, this same idea is repeated by Bruce Lee when he says, "I will fear the man who has done one punch 1,000 times over the man who's done 1,000 punches once." And it's one of the key principles of mastery, that you focus in on, as Pareto said in his 80-20 principle, you identify the 20% of the input that is responsible for 80% of the output. And you focus exclusively on that 20%. Because if you can master that 20%, the rest of the 80%, it doesn't really matter. It's not so important. You've got all the time in the world to catch up, and you're only missing out 20% of the performance. So I hope that makes sense. To explain it a little bit better, you wear 80% of your clothes 20% of the time. So you wear 20% of your clothes 80% of the time. If you need to clean the house in a hurry, there is 20% of that house that accounts for 80% of the dirt. 96% of Hollywood films only take 4% of the revenue. So that means there's 4% of Hollywood films that are taking 96% of the total revenue made on films that year. So in any system, there's 20% minimum. It's often much more, so maximum, often much less input that accounts for all the output. And that's what I'm trying to identify here. Trying to get a place where it's very consistent, the conditions are very consistent, they're very easy, they're very forgiving, but it's almost every day and it's going to be the same. So I can focus in on these fundamentals, this 20% of kite surfing, without having to worry about, changing conditions, choppy waters, waves, gusty winds, lots of people, things like that. So that's my reason for coming here and kick-starting this quest from here, because I want to spend a while here dialing in these fundamentals rather than trying to chase the next shiny object. This is such a thing I see with kitesurf. Oh, that's great, I've learned how to jump, now teach me how to do a back roll. And there's value in that. But as well, if you can focus in on the 20% that makes you, be able to perform that jump in any conditions, any time, wherever you want, on demand, then obviously as soon as you come to do the next tricks, you've got it dialed in. So you just take those skills that you've already learned and reapply them, and it becomes a lot easier. And again, if we can identify that 20%, which is those tricks that are going to be used over and over and over and over again, then it means my next 11 months are going to be made a lot easier. There's also another reason, and I like to break this down to think that there's two me's, if you like. There's what's called I call the inner animal, and there's the inner human. Now, the inner human is the part that's obsessed with technical information, the how-to. The inner animal is much more your subconscious, if you like, the instinctive part of your body. And that's the bit I'm trying to train here. Because what I realized in Portugal is I'd go out in the water in these quite awesome conditions, but they were quite extreme as well, and the wind was quite strong, often quite overpowered. And I'd come off the water after 90 minutes, 30 minutes, and I was broken. I just wasn't kite fit. My inner animal wasn't strong enough to deal with what was happening. So I've come here where it's slightly more forgiving, and it's slightly, again, more consistent in that it's the same conditions each day to try and train this inner animal. And what am I talking about here? Reflexes, fitness, strength, power, energy, aggression, the ability to last for 90 minutes and just bring it for the entire 90 minutes. That's what the moment is. Even here, I'm going out for an hour session, I'm hitting the water with a load of energy, and after 20, 30 minutes, I'm finding I'm just riding up and down because I've run out of energy, run out of that aggression. And this is what I mean when I say aggression. I'm not talking about aggression fighting people. I'm talking about that aggression to just keep trying new tricks. And that's what I'm trying to build in here more than anything else, is that feed that inner animal, train that inner animal. Because what I want is for the rest of the year, after I've left here, is that I can go on the water for 90 minutes and bring it for an entire 90 minutes and then repeat and do it again the next day. Because if I can do that, if I can spend 90 minutes a day, every day there's wind, on at 100% performance, I know that this next year is going to be an absolute success. And if I don't get that dialed in early, I could spend the first 6 months chasing it. So this is why I've chosen this spot where the wind, is light. It's 14-meter kite weather mostly. And that's what I expect to be riding pretty much every day here. But there's a reason for that, and this is the reason for it as well. So, as I say, this is my first Facebook Live, so I'm going to keep it fairly short. What I do intend to do is do a lot more of these and have question and answer sessions as well on YouTube itself. Now, there should be, if I can get the tech working, a question and answer session this evening. So jump on that. It would be awesome to have you there. Let's see if it works. And as I will do a lot more of these, hopefully a lot more professional as well in the future. So I hope to see you on those, guys. Thank you for those of you who are joining. It's awesome to see you here. And I will speak to you. Cheers, guys. Goodbye. Now I've just got to figure out how I stop the video. Cool. Cheers, guys. See you next time.